My mom cheated with Dad's best friend. My sister chose them. Now Dad is dying and wants her completely cut off. My family fell apart in 2003, and honestly, we never recovered from it. That was the year everything exploded. My mom cheated on my dad, and not with some random stranger, but with Ravi, my father's childhood best friend, the guy who used to spend holidays with us, the man I used to call Uncle. Dad filed for divorce immediately, but here's the part that stung the most. 5 months later, Mom married Ravi. Like she wasn't even trying to hide that they'd been planning this for a while. My brother Jonathan and I chose to stay with Dad, but my sister Rhonda, she chose to live with Mom and Ravi. Dad didn't show it, but I could feel the heartbreak in the way he went silent that night. Rhonda was Dad's only daughter. His pride, his soft spot, his weakness. And even though she chose Mom, even though she walked out with Ravi hugging her goodbye, Dad still pampered her. Tuition money, new laptop, trips, gifts. He paid for everything without complaint. Dad had one dream. He wanted Rhonda to be a doctor like him, not forced, just a hope. But Mom and Ravi pushed her into law school. She followed them. She barely visited us. And every time she said, Ravi said, Dad's eyes dimmed just a little. He didn't say a word. He just swallowed the hurt. And that was only the beginning. Because in 2017, Rhonda was about to break him in a way none of us saw coming. Hit follow so you don't miss the next part. My mom cheated with Dad's best friend. My sister chose them. Now Dad is dying and wants her completely cut off. Update, Rhonda didn't just choose Mom. She chose Ravi. By the time she entered university, she practically lived in his world. Ravi became her mentor, her advisor, her favorite person to update. She followed him to court, interned at his firm, celebrated her wins with him. Dad never said anything, but I saw how it crushed him. He still tried, though. He still funded her living expenses, still bought her textbooks, still showed up at her presentations, even when she barely acknowledged him. Meanwhile, she'd run to Ravi first for everything. One day, Dad waited outside her lecture hall to surprise her. She walked right past him, straight into Ravi's car. Didn't even see Dad standing there with a takeaway bag of her favorite food. That night was the first time I ever heard him cry. Fast forward to 2017, Rhonda calls the family. She's getting married. Dad lights up for the first time in years. He tells her, plan the wedding you want. I'll handle the cost. And he meant it. He wrote her a blank check. He told us he had dreamed of walking her down the aisle since the day she was born. He fixed up his old suit, practiced his speech every night, looked at old photos of Rhonda as a toddler. For the first time in so long, Dad looked hopeful. But Rhonda had a surprise waiting for him, and not the good kind. Because when she finally told him her special request, Dad snapped in a way none of us had ever seen. Comment next if you want part 3 immediately. My mom cheated with Dad's best friend. My sister chose them. Now Dad is dying and wants her completely cut off. Update, a month before the wedding, Rhonda came over to talk to Dad. He thought it was about the venue or flowers or budget. He even brewed her favorite tea. But she sat down, took a deep breath, and said something that changed everything. Dad, I want Ravi to walk me down the aisle. The room went silent. Dad froze. Jonathan dropped his fork. I swear even the air felt heavy. Dad asked her to repeat it, thinking he heard wrong. She didn't hesitate. Ravi has been more of a father to me. It feels right. More of a father? The man who broke our family? The affair partner? The replacement? Dad completely broke. This man, who never raised his voice, suddenly erupted. Years of bottled pain exploded all at once. He yelled, she yelled back. Mom got involved. Ravi had the audacity to defend himself. The whole thing turned into a war. Then Dad said something we never thought he'd ever say. If he's your father, then go to him. From this moment, you're no longer my daughter. He disowned her on the spot. He canceled the blank check. We didn't attend the wedding. Our entire side of the family boycotted it. Dad never recovered from that fight. He became quieter, older, more tired. But the tragedy didn't end there. Because 2 years later, Rhonda gave birth, and Dad still refused to speak to her. Tell me, would you forgive her? Follow for part 4. Update 2019, birth should heal, but it didn't. Rhonda had her first child, a baby girl. Everyone thought this would finally break the ice. A new baby usually melts old grudges, right? Rhonda tired calling, texting, sending photos, leaving voicemails, crying and apologizing. She even came to the house holding the baby, begging Dad to at least see his granddaughter. Dad didn't even come out of his study. He told us, "I'm not ready." Not now. Maybe not ever. He wasn't angry anymore. He was just empty. She tried again on birthdays, Father's Days, holidays. Dad refused each time. We kept thinking, he'll soften eventually. Dad is a gentle person, but he didn't soften. The hurt calcified into something permanent. And Rhonda? She finally stopped trying. For a while, life went quiet. Dad worked, aged, and became someone who spoke less with each passing year. We thought time would eventually fix something. Instead, time ran out. Because in 2025, Dad collapsed, and we found out the truth we never saw coming. January 2025, Dad collapsed at work. We rushed him to the hospital where his old colleagues ran every test they could. 2 days later, we got the result. Stage 4 lung cancer, terminal. Dad didn't cry. He didn't panic. He just nodded like he had already accepted his fate long ago. When Rhonda heard she showed up at the hospital immediately, she tried entering the room. Dad told the nurses, "I don't want her here." She stood outside his door for hours crying. He refused every single attempt. He didn't even let her see him through the window. We begged him. Jonathan argued with him. I told him life was too short. But Dad stayed firm. She chose someone else as her father. She made her choice. I'm keeping mine. Rhonda kept trying for weeks. Messages, calls, letters. Dad never opened a single one. He wasn't angry anymore. It was something deeper. A wound that never healed and never would. And then, Dad dropped another bombshell. He finished his will. And it changed everything. Drop a bay if you want the next part. Follow for more drama. My mom cheated with Dad's best friend. My sister chose them. Now Dad is dying and wants her completely cut off. Update. We all knew Dad was getting weaker, but none of us were prepared for what came next. A week after the cancer diagnosis, Dad called our family lawyer to the house. We thought it was just routine stuff, updating documents, medical directives, things like that. But when we all sat down in the living room, Dad in his recliner, oxygen tube on his nose, hands trembling, you could feel the tension thick in the air. The lawyer opened the folder and started reading Dad's will. First, Dad left something meaningful for everyone. Jonathan got the clinic shares. I got Dad's old house and some investments. Even extended family received little handwritten notes and gifts. Then the room went silent. Because when the lawyer reached Rhonda's name, there was nothing. No money, no assets, no letters, not even a message. Just a blank space. Rhonda froze. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. She looked at Dad like she was seeing a stranger. But the real shock came next. The lawyer flipped to the final clause, Dad's last wish. It said, "Under no circumstances should Rhonda attend my wake, funeral, or burial. I do not wish her present. This is my explicit request." The room exploded. Rhonda broke down instantly. Not dramatic crying, real, painful, shaking cries. She stood up, tears pouring down, whispering, "Dad, please, please don't do this to me." Dad didn't look at her. He kept his eyes on the wall. Mom snapped, calling him cruel. Ravi started lecturing Dad about forgiveness like he had any right to talk about family loyalty. Jonathan told Ravi to shut up. But Dad finally spoke, voice weak but firm. She chose another man to be her father. So let him bury her. My time is too short to entertain betrayal. Rhonda collapsed onto the floor, sobbing. She said she regretted everything. She said she was young, confused, manipulated. She said she never meant to hurt him. Dad didn't reply. Not one word. The lawyer quietly closed the folder. The room stayed silent except for Rhonda's sobbing. And the worst part? I don't think Dad was angry anymore. I think he was done. Done fighting, done hurting, done reopening old wounds. Dad's condition is getting worse every day, and he still refuses to see her. We're running out of time, and I'm beginning to feel the weight of a decision I never wanted. Because when a dying man makes his final wish, are we allowed to break it? Follow for part 7, where I must make the hardest decision of my life. My mom cheated with Dad's best friend. My sister chose them. Now Dad is dying and wants her completely cut off. Update, Dad's breathing is getting weaker. The doctor told us he has days, maybe a week, and suddenly everything feels heavier. I can't sleep. I can't think straight, because now I'm not just a son. I'm the person who has to choose between the two people I love most. Dad made it crystal clear. I don't want Rhonda here. I don't want her at the funeral. I don't want her near me. He wants peace in his final days. No more arguments. No more heartbreak. He wants control over the one thing he feels life stole from him. His dignity. But Rhonda, God, she's trying. She calls every day. She sends long voice notes apologizing, begging, explaining, crying. She drives to the house and waits outside for hours. She even brought her daughter, Dad's granddaughter, hoping seeing her would soften his heart. Dad didn't even look through the curtains. She told me, I don't care if I get nothing. I don't care about the will. I just want him to look at me and say goodbye. Just once. And as much as I hate what she did, she's still my sister. And she's not a monster. She was influenced, manipulated, and young. But Dad? He's dying thinking she replaced him. He's dying believing she chose the man who destroyed our family. And now I'm stuck between a dying man's last wish and a daughter desperate for forgiveness. Jonathan says we must honor Dad. Mom says Dad is being cruel. Ravi says we should force a reunion, which is hilarious coming from him. Even extended family is torn. But me? I'm scared. If I let Rhonda see him and he dies upset, I'll never forgive myself. If I stop her and he dies without giving her closure, she'll never forgive me. Either way, someone I love gets hurt permanently, and time is running out. So Reddit, tell me honestly, should I honor my dad's final wish? Or should I let my sister say goodbye before it's too late? Because whatever I choose, I'll have to live with it for the rest of my life. Comment your thoughts, and follow for more real family stories. My mom cheated with Dad's best friend. My sister chose them. Now Dad is dying and wants her completely cut off. Update, after asking Reddit what to do, I was hoping for some kind of clarity, some kind of answer that would magically make the decision make sense. But the more comments came in, the more torn I felt. Half the people said, respect your dad. His last wish matters. The other half said, don't let your sister regret this forever. Pain changes people, but real life isn't Reddit. And things don't stay simple, because that night, everything escalated. Around 11 p.m., my phone rang. It was Rhonda. She was crying so hard she couldn't breathe. Please don't hang up. I just need to talk. Just this once. I stepped outside, sat on the porch, and listened. She wasn't angry. She wasn't defensive. She wasn't blaming anyone. She was broken. Completely broken. She said, I know I hurt him. I know I betrayed him. But I never stopped loving him. Ravi was just there, present. Dad was so far away and hurting, and I was stupid. And I don't know how to undo the last 20 years. For the first time, I heard the little sister I grew up with. Not the woman influenced by Mom and Ravi. Not the girl who idolized Ravi for the wrong reasons. Just Rhonda, alone, regretful, terrified. She said something that stayed with me. I don't need him to forgive me. I just need him to see me before he goes. I can't live the rest of my life being the daughter my father died hating. Her voice cracked. She whispered, please, help me. I don't know who else to ask. And for the first time, I didn't know what to say. Dad was awake, sitting in his bed, staring at the wall like he was replaying his whole life in his mind. I stood in the doorway for a minute, trying to figure out how to even begin. Finally, I asked, Dad, are you sure you never want to see her again? Not even once. He didn't look at me. He just said, when a wound heals wrong, reopening it only infects it again. Then he added, don't bring her here. I mean it. The finality in his voice hit me like a brick. But as I walked out of the room, I saw something. Dad's hands were shaking. Not from weakness, from emotion. He was hurting, too. He just refused to show it. At 2 a.m., I heard knocking. Soft at first, then louder. I opened the door. It was Rhonda, in tears, holding her daughter, shivering like she had run here crying the whole way. She didn't say anything. She didn't ask permission. She just whispered, I want him to see her. Just once, please. And now, I'm standing between my dying father's bedroom and the daughter he swore he never wanted to see again. And the truth is, I have to make a choice tonight, right now, before morning comes. So Reddit, do I open the door or do I protect my dad's last request? Follow for part 8. The decision that changes everything. My mom cheated with Dad's best friend. My sister chose them. Now Dad is dying and wants her completely cut off. Update, Rhonda stood at the door, clutching her daughter, crying so quietly it didn't even sound human. Her hands were shaking. Her face was pale. Her daughter, Dad's granddaughter, was asleep on her shoulder, unaware of the storm around her. And I froze. Behind me was my dad's room. Ahead of me was my sister begging for the last sliver of hope she had left. I whispered, "Rhonda, if Dad finds out you're here..." But she cut me off. "I don't care if he yells. I don't care if he tells me to leave. I just want to see him one last time. Even if he rejects me to my face, at least I'll know I tried." She looked like a child again. Not the grown woman with a law degree. Not the person who made horrible choices. Just my little sister who needed her family. I stepped aside. I still don't know if it was the right decision. Every footstep down the hallway felt like a betrayal. I kept looking back at her. She kept whispering, "Thank you. Thank you," like she was scared to breathe too loudly. When we reached Dad's door, Rhonda froze. She stared at the door like it was a ghost. I asked if she wanted me to go in first. She shook her head and whispered, "It has to be me." She gently pushed the door open. Dad was awake, sitting up in his bed, reading a medical journal he couldn't even focus on anymore. When he saw Rhonda, he didn't yell. He didn't cry. He didn't even look shocked. He just stared. A long, heavy stare that said everything words couldn't. Rhonda broke instantly. She fell to her knees beside his bed and cried in a way I've never heard before. Years of guilt, regret, love, shame, everything poured out of her all at once. She grabbed his hand gently. And Dad didn't pull away. She whispered, "Dad, I'm sorry. I was stupid. I was influenced. And I hated myself every day for choosing someone else over you. But I never stopped being your daughter. Never. Not even for a second." Dad didn't speak for a long time. He just looked at her with eyes full of pain and exhaustion. Finally, he whispered, "You should have come sooner." That one sentence shattered her. She put her forehead on his hand and sobbed. Then something happened I didn't expect. Dad's other hand, the one trembling, from weakness, slowly moved and rested on her head. He didn't embrace her. He didn't forgive her with words. But that tiny gesture, it broke both of us. After a minute, Dad whispered, "Take her. I need to rest." His voice was weak, fading. Rhonda stood up slowly, tears pouring down her face. She kissed his forehead. He didn't stop her. And as she walked out, Dad whispered something again, so quietly I almost didn't hear it. "Goodbye, Rhonda." I turned cold. Because he didn't say goodnight. He said goodbye. And I realized Dad wasn't just tired. He was letting go. Follow for part 9, the finale. My mom cheated with Dad's best friend. My sister chose them. Now Dad is dying and wants her completely cut off. Update. Dad passed away 2 days after Rhonda saw him. He died quietly in his sleep. No pain, no machines, just peace. I found him early in the morning, lying comfortably with a faint smile on his face, like a man who finally laid down a burden he carried for too many years. I called Jonathan. I called Mom. And yes, I called Rhonda. She cried so loudly she couldn't even speak. Even though Dad saw Rhonda before he died, the will was still legally binding. Dad explicitly wrote, "Rhonda cannot attend my wake, funeral, or burial." The lawyer said, "Unless you want to fight his dying wish in court, the instruction stands." Jonathan said, "We should honor it. That's what he wanted." Mum screamed that it was cruel. Ravi tried to argue. Nobody listened. Aunts and uncles were split. But the truth? Dad made his choice. It wasn't ours to rewrite. We held the funeral 2 days later. The ceremony was beautiful. A quiet service filled with Dad's colleagues, friends, and patients he treated over the years. But even as people shared stories about him, even as they praised him for his kindness and strength, I kept looking at the door, because I knew Rhonda wouldn't be able to stay away. And I was right. Halfway through the eulogies, I saw her, not inside, outside, standing in the rain, holding her daughter, watching the funeral from a distance she was not allowed to cross. She didn't try to come in. She didn't argue. She didn't cause a scene. She just stood there, sobbing quietly as she watched strangers honor the father she couldn't hug at the end. The image is burned into my memory forever. Her daughter tugged her sleeve and asked, "Mom, why can't we go inside?" Rhonda choked on her own breath. She knelt down, hugged her daughter tight, and whispered, "Because Mommy made a mistake, and Mommy has to live with it." Even Jonathan looked away. He couldn't watch. I wanted to go to her, to hug her, to tell her Dad didn't hate her when he died, but I stayed inside, because honoring Dad was the last thing I could do for him. When the service ended, I walked outside. Rhonda was still there, her clothes soaked, her eyes swollen, her daughter asleep in her arms. She didn't look at me. She just whispered, "Did he suffer?" I told her, "No, he left peacefully." She nodded and said, "Good, he deserved peace, even if it wasn't with me." And then she walked away, slow, silent, completely broken. And for the first time in years, I wasn't sure if Dad's last wish was right, or if it was just another scar this family will never heal from.